Hello and welcome to our 10 at 10. Today's April 27th. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of pulling preliminary title work. Believe it or not, there's a lot of realtors out there that don't actually pull preliminary title work. They'll list a house and then they'll, as soon as they get an offer, then they'll submit the offer to the title office. And if anything pops up, they don't have time to correct it, right? Without delaying the closing typically, especially these days when there's so many transactions that are closed with cash, and cash doesn't take a traditional like 30 days to close, right? We had a closing the other day that closed in about, I think it was 9 or 10 days. So if there was some issue with title or something like that, we wouldn't have had time. We would have had to delay closing. So I bring it up because one of our agents did exactly what she was supposed to do the other day, right? She listed a property, pulled preliminary title work, got the offer over to the title, or got the listing agreement over the title office, and so on and so forth. And then the preliminary title work came back, and there were some surprises, right? They wanted, a death certificate, proof that the parties that signed the listing agreement could actually sign on the estate's behalf. They needed, all kinds of legal paperwork in order to actually sell the property. And so sometimes that's usually pretty easy to get, but in some cases, there's a little bit of effort there. Sometimes it'll reveal easements that the seller wasn't aware of. Sometimes it'll reveal people that they didn't expect to be on title. Like I've seen it a couple of times where there's a divorced person, right? They signed like a quit claim deed at some point during the divorce, and they refinanced into one party's name. But sometimes that stuff doesn't always make it back into the register of deeds. Right? One of the parties has the quitclaim deed, but the register of deeds has no record of it. So all of a sudden there's still an ex-spouse on title. And sometimes that's a very tricky thing to deal with. And you want to be out in front of that. And typically you need more than a handful of days to make something like that happen. Sometimes there are sometimes you don't even realize that a home is actually a manufactured home, and if it's not permanently affixed and you don't have a statement of a fixture from the township or the county that says it's actually part of the land anymore, that could be a pretty big deal. So what else have I encountered? Sometimes there are liens on the property that we don't realize. I once had it where there was a government subsidized loan in the beginning when they bought the house 20 years ago. It was something that they didn't have to make payments on. They forgot about it, but then when they went to sell it, the government needed to be paid back. And that held up closing for a little bit. Trying to think though. So all of those things, and there's probably a bazillion more things that could come up during a title search that you don't want to find out about the night before closing. So I would encourage you guys to continue to pull preliminary title work as soon as you get a listing. Sometimes I'll even pull it before I get the listing. If somebody reaches out to me, I'll actually, pull title work on their home. And then when I go in to do their market analysis, if I have that information, ahead of time, then I'm able to even speak even more intelligently to the prospective sellers, and maybe ask them about some of the liens or some of the people on title. Ask them specifically about an easement that might run through the property, or maybe there's a shared driveway or something like that. All of those things are great things to know about before a listing agreement. It definitely sets you apart from everybody else. And on top of that, you definitely don't want to deal with those things a few days before closing. You want to take care of them as soon as you can. So anyways, that's your 10 at 10 for today. The importance of pulling preliminary title work. I hope you have a great day, and do your best to make today awesome.